Hello everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing the third review in the Vinegar Syndrome October, no I guess we're in October 2022 package. I think it is the October package I'm reviewing here. This is the third review, as I've already said, and this is a movie from 1988. It's an late Italian sort of horror film. By the tail end of this, you weren't really getting many Italian horror films that were universally loved. And this is one that I think had a lot of potential, but it's just really good. I think I would rate it maybe 3.5 at most. But this is a very spooky movie, and I really love that about it. And the movie I'm talking about today, before I keep going, is 1988's Blood Delirium, directed by Sergio Bergonzelli, starring Bridget Christensen and also Marco Di Stefano, who are the two main leads. Bridget Christensen plays two characters, one of which is the girlfriend of a painter who is absolutely obsessed with Van Gogh. And there's a really funny part in this movie, and funny in the Italian absurdity is what I mean, where this girlfriend is murdered or killed, and because she sees ghosts and hears ghosts from her lamps, has a sort of psychotic meltdown, and then dies that night. And she is buried. We have a time skip 1 year later, and the boyfriend has not continued on, has not moved on from her death, and he is just really pissed off. He is unable to do any painting because while he was painting when his girlfriend was alive, she was playing the piano and was sort of driving his creative outputs. But it's a year later, he's unable to. And whenever he turns on a CD or a cassette, is more of a cassette tape of the music, he just sort of gets triggered by it and turns it off, tears up the painting, and then he and his best friend decide we need to get her back. And so they go to her fucking tomb, sort of like a family tomb where you have to pry open the sort of sarcophagus, and they pull her out, and there are maggots eating her face. You can see the skull. It is disgusting, and they're like, oh my gosh, you are as beautiful as you were alive. And they just pick her up and bring her to the house. And they have a really creepy mask on, which you can see on the back here. It looks really fucking uncanny, and this part was just right in the beginning, the first 5 to 10 minutes maybe, and it was a favorite part of mine, personally, because after that, he discovers that blood is a really fun color, I guess, a very effective color for him to do his paintings with. And this is something that I immediately thought of Herschel Gordon Lewis, which I have right above my head here. The box set, I just finished that recently. I haven't gone through the special features, so I haven't really had any want of doing a review of it yet, because I just need to know more about him as a person. But he did a film in 1965 called Color Me Blood Red, and it's the exact same story. A painter discovers that blood is what he wants to use for the color red. And so that's the entire movie. Herschel Gordon Lewis loves his kind of seeds of ideas that he doesn't expand too much on. And this movie, I think, takes that concept and really expands upon it and makes it eerie, absurd, weird, great. I think this movie or this concept can really only be done by somebody who is working in Italy, because the dub really helps to kind of continue the air of weird and also bit of a dark atmosphere. And overall, I just really enjoyed this movie in terms of the atmosphere, but the story does not really go on after that initial moment, because after they sit the corpse down, they decide to not use her anymore after another breakdown that the painter has. And he goes to town and he finds a woman also played by the same actress, Bridget Christensen. And she's like, or he goes, "Hey, woman, you look eerily similar to my girlfriend who is now dead. Would you like to come to my house?" And he abducts her, basically. And they go back and forth. He's always abducting somebody. He has a henchman. It's very Frankenstein, not, yeah, Dr. Frankenstein and Lobo, or I think that's his name, and the young Frankenstein. Really great pairing of characters there. We have that sort of same dynamic going on between our main crazy painter and his assistant. And for the rest of the movie, it's basically them killing a woman, hanging her by her ankles, draining the blood out of her, and then doing a really cool painting. It gets a little bit repetitive. I did not enjoy the middle portion of this movie. The first 30 to 45 minutes I really enjoyed, and the final maybe 5 minutes I enjoyed. Everything in the middle really slowed down. It was a slog. I didn't care for it. I even fell asleep for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I woke up and I felt like I missed nothing. This movie's just okay as a whole. There are parts that I really enjoyed. This movie has a lot of weird sequences. Excuse me, I have a hiccup. They have really interesting sequences, and they don't use as much color in this movie as a lot of Italian sort of giallo horror films usually do, but this movie has the atmosphere. I would have really liked to have seen this during Spooktober, which I could have done, and I almost did. I even talked about, I think in the unboxing for this, how this is a perfect cover for a Spooktober movie, especially the back right here. Reminds me of Psycho by Alfred Hitchcock, a movie that I need to rewatch because I still don't really care for it because it's so ingrained in the kind of pop culture. But that's a total tangent that I'm not going to go down. But the storyline in general was very confusing in the beginning because we have two different characters that have no relation to each other being played by the same actress. And it was something that I did not like in the beginning. I just kind of surrendered myself to the movie. And that's really what you have to do a lot with these Italian 70s to 80s films, because a lot of it, there are language barriers between the director, the producer, the writer, and also the actors. And so it's really hard for them to communicate effectively the vision. And this is something that happens a lot in Italian cinema, and I've talked about it ad nauseum, how usually they have half of the cast be Italian, and then the other half they use Americans or Germans. Germans were used a lot, especially in the Italian spaghetti westerns. They also use Eastern Europeans, like from Russia, Romania, wherever Klaus Kinski is from. There's a lot of kind of difficulties behind the scenes in this genre, and I think that had a bit of an impact because, and I guess this is a good time to go into it, but I did watch 2 of the interviews on this release. There are 3 interviews total. 2 of them that I watched were the husband and wife duo of Marco Di Stefano and also Brigitte Christensen. Maybe I was using a different name, but the other interview that was on this release was with Chris Colombo, I believe. Corrado Colombo. Chris Colombo is somebody else. I did not watch that one. I didn't really feel as if I would have gained anything in terms of this movie. The interviews with the two actors were just enough for me to appreciate it more, but not really all that much more than I already was. And she talked a whole lot about the difficulties behind this camera and in the behind the scenes, because a lot of the cast and crew were very professional. She said she really had no issues at all on set, but that it was quite joyless, which was a very kind of big thing for somebody to say, saying that it was joyless. She said it was just really kind of, we got to do it. We'll do it however many times you got to do the scene, and to be able to effectively communicate what's going on to the audience. And oh, I thought there was a bug on my side. She said it was just a really kind of joyless place to be, and that she had done a few acting gigs and vastly prefers the theater circuit. But she said that one of the big things that makes her work so well in acting is having an environment behind the scenes where people are having fun, they're happy, they are talking to each other and having just sort of family connections to each other, because she and her husband were acting duo, and she said that, and also her husband, or ex-husband, I guess, because they divorced. They both talked about how everybody was so cold to him because she was absolutely beautiful. Everybody thought she was just somebody that they could chase for no reason at all because she was so beautiful. And she said it was just really kind of exhausting to be on set because everybody just wanted to have a piece of the pie, I guess, to be crass about it. But she said after this job, she didn't really do many movies. She did a few. I think she mentioned that she did Barbarella, or another co-star did it and then went on to do this. I'm not really 100% on that, because for most of the interview with her, she talked about how she came to this job and sort of the immediate future just afterwards. And she mostly just talked about her casting credits, basically. And her relationship with the director, who she had a lot of respect for. And somebody who she said was sort of a father figure for her, where she could go up to him and talk to him comfortably, but that there was just so many kind of rivalries on set between her husband and the other men who wanted to be with her. And she said nobody did anything terrible that you hear a lot nowadays, because this is a newly recorded interview. But she said that it was just, exhausting mentally to go through that. So I also watched the interview with Marco Di Stefano, her husband, or ex-husband, and it was a very short interview, probably about 7 to 10 minutes. The Brigitte Christensen one was about 30 minutes, so it was a good amount of time, but the one with Marco was very short. He just sort of talked about him and his wife, the dynamics on set, as I've already discussed. He talked about how she and him decided to audition for this movie. There was a casting call, I guess. And so they showed up, and immediately the director was like, "Oh my gosh, like she is so beautiful. She is very kind, has a really great personality. I want her." Oh, her husband also acts. Sure, get him in too. I'll cast him as her co-lead, and they are very great on screen together because obviously they actually do love each other, and they have a lot of great chemistry. So that's really all he talked about. He also discussed working with Lucio Fulci towards the end of his life, before Fulci died in the early 90s, as the supplements of Rack's Mask talk about, which I discussed in the Withering Watchpile Jallo episode, which I recommend everybody to watch if you haven't seen it yet. It was a lot of fun to record about a year ago. Kind of hard to believe, but yeah, he did a lot of small time gigs. He said that his career was getting better by every movie and television gig that he did, but that for the most part he was getting by just fine on his small projects that he was hired onto. He never became this huge star, but he did a lot of different projects within the genre. And that's really it in terms of the special features. There is an audio commentary with Troy Hayworth, and also um, Eugenio Ercolani. I don't think I said that right, and I apologize for that. I did not listen to that. I didn't really have any motivation to. I like this movie just enough, but not enough to rewatch it again and to get really the inside scoop on everything. But it's a good little movie. I would definitely watch it during Spooktober. And this episode's a lot more, I guess, better to ask the question of would I have bought this without the subscription? I may have, just on the cover alone. I did get it mid October, I guess, and so, or I guess end of October. And this slipcover just really gets you in the mood for a spooky movie, especially the back, as I've said many times. But I don't know if I'll watch this again for quite a while, maybe until next year's Spooktober. But that's really it for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I just have one more review, and then on Monday, and this is Friday night that I'm recording this around 11:30 p.m. I got the shipping notification about 2 days ago from Vinegar Syndrome about the November package, and that is coming on Monday. That's the estimated time arrival. So I'll be jumping right back into the subscription packages after tomorrow when I do the final review. But thank you all so much for watching, and please comment. Let me know what you think of this review, of the movie. Have a great rest of the weekend.